you look at the history of the automobile in Detroit, there appears to be pretty much just a straight line of cars evolving over time. And the Turbine Car was just a gigantic deviation from the norm.
The first new automotive power plant in more than 50 years.
Here was a car that had a totally new type of propulsion system no one had tried before.
The whole concept of a gas turbine-powered car was fairly radical. I mean, there weren't any.
The tremendous potential of the turbine opens the possibility of an exciting new chapter of motoring and gives the automobile a running start in the jet age.
If you've heard one run, there's no question there's something different going on in that car.
It sounds like the future when you get it. I always thought it was the coolest post-war car ever. The styling was fantastic.
The body was built by craftsmen in Italy, but the engineering that went into it is...
The highlight of the program was the fleet of these cars they put on the road. They lent to the public.
The most unusual consumer test program ever launched in the automotive industry.
They chose 203 families, sent the cars out.
If you think about it, it was insane that Chrysler did this. People are driving experimental cars on the road. It turned out to be one of the greatest marketing campaigns in automotive history.
Intense public interest. Well, that's putting it mildly.
This came out at a time when the idea of a car for the common man still had not reached a large part of the earth, and here was Americans driving around in jet-powered cars with 5 cigarette lighters in them, you know, I mean, just crazy.
Here it is. In the precise language of the engineer, it's called a jet propulsion gas turbine. To you and me, it's the jet engine.
The idea of a turbine engine, it's actually very simple.
A turbine is a highly advanced use of one of man's oldest means for creating power to do work.
Well, a pinwheel. I mean, you pick up a pinwheel as a kid and you blow on it, and it turns. You know, that's what a turbine does. You blast air through a winged rotor, then you can do a lot of things with that rotor.
A turbine engine basically is you have a tube with fan blades inside of it. And air comes in one end, and it goes into a combustion chamber, which creates fire and heat, which blasts out the back past another set of fan blades. These fan blades are on a shaft connected to the first set of fan blades. It causes the ones in the front to spin and suck in more air. And it creates constant combustion, blasting the air out the back.
The turbine engine looks different on the outside because it's definitely different on the inside.
The parts inside the turbine are spinning, whereas the parts inside of a piston engine are reciprocating, going back and forth. They shake, they vibrate, they make noise. Something that spins can be smoother.
You've got an engine unlike any other engine in an automobile that put out absolutely no vibration.
The driver felt that smoothness which you don't feel in a piston engine car.
And the fewer moving parts. There were no piston, no crankshaft, no rod, no valve train.
The turbine engine is like 1/4 of the parts.
It was about 200 pounds lighter than a standard combustion engine.
That's the interesting part, low maintenance, 1 spark plug.
Maybe once every 50,000 miles, put a new spark plug in it, but never change the oil.
And then also, it'll run on any liquid that burns.
You could run on unleaded gasoline, JP4 jet fuel, kerosene,
diesel, home heating oil, VO5 hairspray.
We've heard stories that one that was in France that ran on Chanel No. 5 perfume.
I went down to Dothan, Alabama for the Peanut Festival, and we ran the vehicle on peanut oil, and it smelled like a Chinese restaurant. People were amazed.
In South Africa, they wouldn't believe us when we said this car would run on cognac. So we gave it a try. It worked, of course.
This is all interesting, but why would you need to do that? I mean, what was cheaper than fuel? When the car came out, in many places, fuel was 19 cents a gallon.
The multi-fuel aspect of it was later something that people said, oh my gosh, we could have cashed in on that. But people weren't thinking about the cost.